So good afternoon, everyone. It's really my pleasure to be here today to discuss the health care data analytics market and also present the company Schain Research. It's a life science analytics company focusing on generating evidence for pharmaceutical companies and medical device companies to support them in their drug development process. Yeah, so I'm Frida Schain, so I'm the CEO of the company. So the agenda for today is that we will start to review some problems and solutions in the drug development processes. We'll talk about the market size and trends in the health care data analytics space. And we will also give you some background on who we are, our offer, and what kind of clients and collaboration partners we have. And we'll also review how the future will look like. So, as you all know, it's not an easy task to develop new drugs, and there are several problems associated with that. So, first of all, it's very competitive, and it's very lengthy and complex and costly process. And there is a high degree of uncertainty, and a very small proportion of compounds will actually end up as an approved drug. There's also a rapidly changing treatment landscape, which makes it quite difficult to design clinical studies as well. And after working 15 years in the pharmaceutical and medical device industry, one of the major challenges that I encountered was that it's actually very difficult during a clinical development program to find the right evidence to support the drug development process. And that kind of evidence is needed in order to make the right decisions during the drug development process. But it's also critical to have this evidence also to meet external requirements from regulatory bodies such as FDA and European Medicines Agency, but also for other stakeholders such as payers, reimbursement authorities, and so on. So realizing that challenge, that was actually the reason why I founded this company, 2019. And the solutions for many of these problems that we've just discussed for pharmaceutical companies to develop drugs can be addressed by identifying the correct data and apply the relevant methodology. Also, of course, disease area expertise is very important to generate the right evidence for these pharmaceutical companies also at the right time, which is, of course, very critical that this kind of evidence is generated well in time for a specific decision point during the way. So basically, when we talk about data in this context, we're talking about real-world data. So basically, all the data that is generated in clinical practice every day. And so this data can actually be used to learn from that data and bring that knowledge into drug development processes. And this is also usually called real-world data or real-world evidence. So why we are very well placed to add value in this specific market is that we have a deep understanding of client needs in the market. So we understand what the pharma companies need during the drug development processes. We're a small and efficient and agile team of hand-picked top scientists and analysts. And we have the know-how how to find the right data. And also, as you're aware, the data in the Nordic region is very unique, and that's also why we are based here in the Nordic region. And we also have the know-how on how to use this unique data to add value and to design studies. So we also have an established network in the life science industry, and we're also a trusted partner for industry leaders in this field as well. So something around the market size and the trends in this market. So As you probably are aware, pharmaceutical industry is spending a lot of money in R&D. So 2019, they spent significant more on R&D compared to 30 years ago, even when adjusting for inflation. And only the global spending on clinical trials in the pharmaceutical industry is around 70 billion USD, estimated to be 70 million USD by 2025. Also of interest to our business is that the global life science analytics market was around $23 billion in 2020, and this market is expected to be 47 billion USD in 2026. And this huge growth is expected to be driven by digitalization of healthcare. So much more data is available now than it was 10 or 20 years ago. And it's also about methodological and technical development. So artificial intelligence and machine learning and new methods are also very helpful to generate better insights and more evidence when working with this healthcare data. And also the healthcare industry is also growing. Another factor that can potentially add to this growing trend is that the FDA recently also communicated that they will consider real-world data as part of their assessment when they assess new drugs for efficacy. So I think this is also a major opportunity to find out how to use this kind of data in the most effective way to support pharma companies in their regulatory processes. So real-world data is playing and is continuing to play an increasing role in healthcare decisions. So a few words about us. We are a research consultancy company with offices in Sweden and Germany. We are a small agile team of very dedicated research scientists and data scientists, and we are very passionate to generate evidence using real-world data, mostly using Swedish and Nordic data, but also looking into data also sometimes broader than that. So we're a fast-growing team. We've been growing from 1 person to 5 permanent employees the last 14 months. And here you can also see my team. I'm very proud of my team, very dedicated scientists. Christina Jones, who's the scientific director, and we have Kelvin and Tina that are scientists, and also Maria that is working with admin and finance. So the capabilities and expertise that we have, that is quite unique, and that also adds a lot of value for our clients, is that we have clinical and scientific expertise. And we also have a lot of knowledge in the data analytics part, so also developing more and more the machine learning expertise and data science capabilities. We also understand the pharmaceutical industry in depth and market access and health economy and so on, and also have a deep understanding in real-world data. So I think this is why we have we are in a very strong place in this market. So a few words about our services then. Just to give you a concrete example on what we offer to our clients is that usually it starts with a research question. So a client will come to us and ask a question that they need to know the answer for as part of their clinical development program. So an example of such a question can be, what are the predictors for poor survival in patients diagnosed with a specific disease and that was treated with a certain drug? So this is a typical question that we would take. So what we would do then is that we would find the right data, the real-world data, look across different markets to find the data that we need. We would also consider which methodologies and technologies we would apply to really have the most powerful analysis of the data. And we would also add disease area expertise to that to make sure that the resulting evidence is really makes sense from a clinical point of view. And we do have quite some disease expertise in our team, but of course we are not expert in all disease areas, and therefore we also work with a lot of clinical experts from academia as our partners. So based on this process, we generate a lot of important knowledge. And this knowledge is of high value to a scientific community, and as mentioned also for the pharmaceutical industry in their clinical development strategies. And the data is used often for internal decision making around clinical development programs, but also, as previously mentioned, to different external stakeholders, such as regulatory bodies. We are also able to support clients working with the same kind of data and methodology, but outside a scientific context, where we also can generate competitive insights and also important information for commercial decision making during the drug development process. So I listed a few more questions here just to give you a better understanding around what it is that we actually do. Other common questions that we answer could be, what is the cost of care for a certain disease, and what are the cost drivers? Which patient population with a certain diagnosis have the worst survival? And which proportion of patients with diagnosis X received treatment A, B versus C? And what is the clinical trial how is the clinical trial intermediate endpoint X associated with endpoint Y? So as you can understand, all these questions are critical questions that usually arise during a clinical trial program. And by helping companies to address these questions, we can help them to accelerate their drug development processes. So if we look at our services from another perspective, so here you can see a typical timeline for a drug development process. And as you know, this time can be very long from start to regulatory approval and when patients actually have access to the drug. And it can actually be as long as 15 years. And the cost to just have one drug taking from early discovery to an approved drug in the clinic can be as high as 2.5 billion USD. So if whatever evidence we can generate to help our clients to just reduce this time or cost with just a few percent, you can imagine that is quite valuable for our clients. So what kind of clients and collaboration partners do we work with? So first of all, although we are mainly based in Sweden and work mainly with Nordic data because of the unique data available here, we do support clients across different geographic areas in US, Canada, and across Europe. And the type of clients we have is ranging from academic institutions to small and middle-sized biotech companies to large world-leading pharmaceutical companies and also medical device companies. We also work a lot with academic partners to ensure we are in the forefront of the development of different key areas. So for instance, computer science and data science, biostatistics are fields where we really need to be in the forefront to support our clients and ensure that we really get the most out of our analysis and generate as valuable knowledge as possible. So, if we look into the future, it looks very promising, I would say. And as I showed you, this is a growing, very dynamic field with a huge growth. And I think so our goal is to really continue the growth that we've had since 2019 and continue to grow in the same pace. What we're also planning is to attract and hire more talents to meet constantly increasing customer demands and also to be able to serve future clients and collaboration partners. We will also focus on expand our capabilities in data science and machine learning, artificial intelligence field, because as I mentioned, this is an area that is of high interest to our clients, and we are also eager to explore how we can use these methods and technologies to to generate even more impactful data. So with that, I'd like to thank you, and also to the Naventus team and partners for inviting us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frida. I'm sure many more than I are curious. Who are your main competitors? Are there any?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a very competitive landscape, although many companies have different kind of profiles. Some are more into the health economic parts, and some are more into R&D. So there are players out there. The big CRO companies are out there, and also some small biotech company, small data analytics company as well in Nordics, Europe, and US. But the market is really big, and I think we are definitely well placed there to find a good niche and add a lot of good value for our clients.
So the uniqueness of your company compared to the ones you just mentioned that are around, what would you say that is?
Yeah, I would say that, the knowledge about our client needs is critical, because it's not enough to just understand there is data and you can analyze it, but to really understand in depth what our client needs. So I think that is very important, and also the fact that we have the know-how how to work with Scandinavian unique data. You actually need to have some local understanding and also speak the Swedish language and so on to know how to be able to use this data for research purposes.
So percentage-wise, how many of your clients and processes that you take part in are Sweden-oriented as compared to other countries, from other countries?
I would say that 50% are outside of Nordics, and 50% is in the Nordic region, with a trend to support more global clients during the last year.
Well, thank you very much, Frida Schain.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.